Hey guys, welcome to the Tap Into Your Genius series. This is Prodigious Productivity, Thursday on Friday. We'll be repeating this on next Thursday. And I'll be bringing in my guest, Chirag Gupta. Chirag Gupta, who is the founder of the NoD Coworking Facility in Dallas.
Hi,
okay?
guys.
Hey, how's it going, Chirag? Let me say the rest of the thing we're going to say about you. Okay? All right. He's also the guy who's been, he's a big proponent helping the startup community here in Dallas. I'm white enough, so let's get out of this light so I'm not that white. Come over here.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So I think you're like extra bright too, so we'll come over here.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, Chirag's a great proponent for the entire community here in Dallas, Fort Worth. Hello, Robin.
Hey, what's up, Robin?
And so he's been a big participant in creating Dallas Startup Weekend right at the NoD a number of times, at least a couple times.
Yeah, we've done it 3 years in a row, and we'll be doing it again, next summer.
Right, we're going to be discussing productivity today, but also Chirag is a graduate from Northwestern University in Chicago, industrial engineering, so he knows a lot about processes and systems and all that kind of stuff. He's also been a big participant at Dallas Startup Week, and he's a writer for Dallas Innovates and LaunchDFW.com. So hello, Chirag.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. And
Robin's our big fan right now.
She is.
She's
right.
our loyal viewer.
But we always have like 10,000 people in replay. 10,000 people in replay.
Oh.
10,000 people in replay.
What's up, all you 10,000 people?
So anyway, but also just to mention, this is also part of my Tap Into Your Genius series. Thank you, Robin. And which is leading to the Tap Into Your Genius membership site course that I'm creating that will be launching September 1st with the premise that genius isn't just for, Einstein and all those guys, but because the way our brains are designed, if we tap into the same processes, that we can do amazing things too.
Absolutely.
So Chirag's going to tell us how we can do amazing things in our life today. Let's get out of that super bright spotlight. Okay. All right, Chirag. So we kind of started the conversation by email, and you were talking about a guy who wrote a book. His name is Sam Carpenter.
Sam Carpenter.
Called The Work System? Work the System.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So, if you guys have not checked it out yet, it's actually a free ebook you can download at workthesystem.com. And if you're someone who's an entrepreneur, who's trying to figure out, how do I juggle everything that's going on and all the different things coming your way? Oh, nice. Hey, Alan. It's a great book that I recommend. So I'm now using that book with pretty much all of my teams, my own team at NoD Coworking that I run, as well as different startups that I consult for. And I'm just a really huge fan of those methods.
Right. Okay. Well, what has been, say, one of the most, you were telling me that you were maybe even able to 10x productivity.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about the process, what you've been doing, implementing that's been so helpful? Yeah.
So the key takeaway the key breakthrough I had was, instead of piling all this information into my brain of memorizing different processes and memorizing how to do all these different tasks required to run the business, the simple takeaway or breakthrough was just start writing them down. And as soon as you start to document your procedures, even the most basic ones that operate your business, that's what enables you to then delegate those processes. Or even if not delegate, at least remove them from your mind and put them down on paper. And in that process, you'll find, or I think you'll find, that it opens up space in your mind to then expand and grow what you're capable of as you continually document the processes for every aspect of your business.
David Burrows is watching.
That's true.
It's done.
Hey, David.
It's awesome. Show's over. It's fantastic.
Big
we've made
shout
it.
out to David.
We've made it. We've reached the highest level that Dallas is capable of, even the world, because David Burrows is watching. He is a fellow entrepreneur. Do you know David?
No, nice to meet you.
I know David. Okay, hi David. Obviously you're not as famous as I thought, so we're gonna keep going. So how was, when you begin to write things down, what I know is that I was listening to another recording, and we tend to overload our brain with certain things, and we can maybe keep in our mind what's most important and then delegate things out. Perhaps we can be more efficient. Is that somewhat what the thought that you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely in line with that. I think like I said, even if it's not delegating it to another person, it even helps you essentially delegate things to yourself. And instead of memorizing, a 10-step procedure for how to do your, let's say, accounting, for example, just write it down. And that way, when it comes time for that, monthly accounting report you need to produce, instead of trying to remember in your mind, okay, what are the step-by-step things I have to do, you just already have it written down, and you can just follow the steps that you wrote. So it sounds like a small thing, a small document, but it creates so much space in your mind to achieve bigger and greater things once you get in that habit.
Well, let me just maybe talk about like a personal issue that I'm dealing with my company. So I'm trying to do a lot of things, and as a solopreneur or person who hires out freelancers, I'm trying to do everything. I'm trying to do, strategy, marketing, edit my videos, all this kind of stuff. And it's just too much stuff, and I've got to get things done. And of course, I'm going to be launching the course and website September 1st. So is there any thoughts that he put or you have in terms of like delegating? How can you effectively delegate? And maybe if you're a beginning entrepreneur and you don't have a ton of cash, any ways in which we can delegate and do that effectively?
Yeah, I think the best thing is to start with like a solid foundation, right? And I think in the book, Work the System, they talk about that as, they refer to it as the strategic objective. And once you have a clear idea of what that strategic objective is, it's essentially your mission statement, and that sort of guides all of your other activities. So I think once you have a solid foundation with regard to what you're doing, why you're doing it, who your stakeholders are, who your target market is, then proceed to start doing the documentation of procedures and writing down all the step-by-step instructions you need to get things done.
Right.
That's always a good place to start. And yeah, if you're bootstrapping right now and you're in the first 6 months of your startup, you might still be in a phase where you're validating, is there even a market for my product or service? And that's okay. And I think a lot of that first year of starting a business is going to be tough, and you're not going to be able to just start delegating things right off the bat. I think in the beginning phase, it's just going to take a lot of legwork and elbow grease just to get yourself out there and just start learning as much as you can about your market. But once you do, and you've made your first sale, and now you've got customers, and now you've got a business. And once you have a business, and you've got customers that want to buy what you're selling, that's great. And then your next step is to figure out, how do I do that over and over and over again? And that's where you can get into this great productivity method, using something like Work the System, or come up with your own.
Well, is there any thought you have on when you want to add staff or add people to help you, and you're beginning to raise revenue and income for the company, but maybe it's not quite enough? When you know I'm making enough, now you start hiring out for things. Do you have any thoughts on that? Maybe through personal experience at the NoD.
Yeah, sure. So from my personal experience, hiring your first employee is kind of an intimidating, kind of a scary process. Right. But once you have identified what exactly they're going to be doing, that's the key. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I made was I got to a point where I had customers, I was running the business myself, and just getting really overextended and just really overworked. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, almost out of panic, I was like, I gotta hire someone. And so I found someone who was very talented, hired them, but the mistake I made was I really gave them no direction. I just kind of was like...
You didn't have a process in place.
I didn't have a process in place. I didn't have it documented. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of threw them into the deep end, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to tread water and survive over here. Like, you've got to tread water and survive over there. Good luck.
Right.
And that was, I think, where I learned the most about hiring was when I later asked that employee for feedback and got the honest answer of, yeah, this was actually a really terrible job because I had no direction and I had no processes in place. Right. That feedback helped me so much to hear, oh wow, okay, if I'm going to be hiring somebody and building an effective team, really the first step to do is have those procedures documented, have systems in place, so you can hand over a piece of paper that says, these are the expectations, these are the hours, these are the duties, and these are the checklists that you have to execute every day.
And how are they executing now? Now you have a couple of good guys working for you now.
Yeah, so our team now loves it.
Too, I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
I've got a team of two, basically.
Yeah.
So there's three of us that run the business, and pretty much for me, I consider myself to be a lifestyle entrepreneur. So I always look for ways to, constantly look for ways to automate, delegate, put systems in place. And I encourage my team to do the same. So actually all three of us now contribute to the documentation of these procedures.
Very good.
And I think that's a really special strategy that I discovered in this book, Work the System.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Justin Nygren, if you're watching.
Justin Nygren.
He's actually the one who introduced me to that book.
Ah, very good. Yeah, Justin is part of the community and had the Grove downtown for a good while.
Yep.
Yeah, well, cool. Okay, one of the things I'm working on right now is how can I delegate? So for my solution so far, maybe you can give me some input. Okay.
We're doing it live.
Yeah. All right. So because I got to get this website up and going, so I need a web developer, and so doing more social media, I'm looking for a video editor because I can shoot. That's my background: production, film, and television. But just editing is taking up so much time and creating the graphics for social media. So I need that, but also looking maybe for a marketing person who can do the social media marketing. So for me, maybe it's a simple formula, but that's what I've come up with so far. Is this going to all be freelance? And maybe through Upwork or even looking on Fiverr or other resources or freelancer.com, find some good people. Because I was able to find a really good web developer and through Upwork, and this guy is really sharp. And so he works here in America, so he really understands our culture, and the communication is very easy, and there's no problem with time differences.
Sure.
So that was a little hard to find, but I found him, and so that's getting more efficient. But I do need like someone in social media marketing, someone who can help me perhaps even in marketing, get some of these things done so I can do what I'm better at, and that's being, having a vision for what I'm doing, creating the membership site and what it's all about, creating the videos.
Hi, Timmy.
Yes. Hey, Tammy. So that's what I'm good at. And so I'm trying to free myself so I can be fully what I'm good at. And even though I don't have a ton of funds yet to be hiring a bunch of people, right now I'm saying, okay, I need those three positions: web developer, social media marketing, and video editor. I can just go on these freelance sites and maybe even hire people in other parts of the world who'll be very happy to do the work, and just see if that's in my budget, or say, okay, this is my budget. I need this much. It costs this much. I got to make this much money this month just so I can pay that. What do you think about that process for perhaps beginning entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, things like that?
So two thoughts on that. One is all the different professions you just mentioned are creative services, right? You're talking about having a social media consultant, having a video editor, and having a web developer. Yeah. And I think these three in particular are so relevant today because so many small businesses rely on having those three skill sets, whether they're in-house or people that you end up finding on, like you mentioned, Upwork or other freelance sites. And so there's a big difference, right, between, let's say you're running a restaurant and you have to now start to delegate the host job, the waiter job, the chef, and the cook's job. They're very much more mechanical positions, whereas when you're talking about the creative services and you want someone to just take a creative brief and start coming up with a video from scratch or coming up with a website from scratch, now you're asking a lot more, and you're asking them to use their creative freedom and their ability to come up with ideas.
I find that to be hard because of course I'm more a creative person, so I can say I want this, this, and this in my design. I want this, this, and this in the video. But when you try to begin to rely on some of these creatives to create, that's where I think it can be difficult. That takes a higher level of skill, I think. So that's
so I would
struggle.
So my second thought on that is, how do you start to break down the actual process you want this person to execute? And I would argue that just like anything else, you can actually document it just the same.
Write down the process. Right.
So for social media, for example, you might not be able to write down the exact word for word content that you want them to post, but you might be able to write down a process for, let's say, on Monday you want them to generate a list of 20 posts that they're going to post this week. On Tuesday, you want them to get your approval to post them, and on Wednesday, you want them to schedule the posts. However it is, but you start to put it into a routine.
How do you test these processes and know that you're actually being effective with them? What have you done with say the NoD and other things?
Sure. With NoD, we actually have a process for reviewing the processes, which is great, and that's where we constantly are looking for improvements and ways to streamline them. For example, even our process for onboarding new members to the co-working space used to be like a 17-step process. It was like there was an intake form, then we log that data in a certain spreadsheet, and then we schedule a tour, we schedule an orientation, and we had all these steps in the process. And just from our own feedback internally, from executing that, as well as feedback from our members, we've now shortened that process down to about 7 steps. So it took a lot of thinking to figure out how to cut those steps down, but now we've got it into a much simpler, streamlined process. And that's because every month we actually sit down as a team and review all of the main processes that we have, which is about 70 documents, 70 different processes.
I was looking at Genius quotes yesterday, and I don't know if I'm going to say it verbatim, but Einstein was saying that if you can't explain your concept simply, then you don't really even understand it. And I think that there's power in simplicity.
Occam's razor.
Occam's razor. How's that go? I know. I'm half a nerd. No, I'm semi-nerd. Okay.
Yeah, if you're into
I like to hang around nerds.
Yeah.
And Occam's razor. What is that?
So if you want to Google it and see the verbatim language of it, I definitely recommend it. But it basically argues that the simplest solution is always the optimal solution. To any problem. So
and I think it goes with design too. Like in design, I say the beginning of design is they have all these details, and then cutting it down to the most essential. And I think that makes us more productive too, right? With our list for the day. I think people struggle. What do I do with? And so I listened to Brian Tracy. You ever heard of that guy?
Heard of Brian?
Yeah, he's a very famous guy, and he talks about you write down all your goals for the day, but you circle the one. Like, what was the one that if you had to leave for a month, which one would you do?
Nice.
And then you just begin that process and you work on that until it's done. So that's kind of his idea on how to.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of this concept called hyperprioritization, which is basically exactly what Jeff just described. Which is taking your to-do list and then you do one pass and you prioritize what order you need to do those things in. But then you take a second pass and basically ask yourself, which one of these things absolutely has to get done today? And that sets you in the right focus for the day, and really emphasizes which thing has to get done that day, so that you're not in doubt when you go about tackling all these different tasks. You're spending your time on the right ones, and that also gives you added confidence and added productivity as you go throughout the day.
One little thing that I do that helps is, I come kind of from a perfectionistic background or a way of thinking, and so often, you're not getting things done because you want to do it so perfectly. So here's my secret. I'll say it in a live broadcast friendly way.
Okay.
All right. I say, all right, I'm just gonna do a crappy job. Okay. But inevitably that gets me going. And so sometimes with my list, I go, rather than feeling like I have all this big giant list in front of me, I say, I'm just going to do a crappy job on that, a crappy job on that, a crappy job on that. And invariably when I get into it, I do a pretty good job anyway, but I'm doing it in a quicker way, of which then I can always go back, right, and then improve on whatever the graphic I'm creating, the video I'm creating, or the strategy. So that's helpful to me.
I love that. I would also say something along those lines, which we use in Startup Weekend all the time, which is the phrase, done is better than perfect. And I think that's a really good reminder, I don't know, write it on your wall.
There's another good quote that I know from this other guy I heard. It says, you don't have to get it right, just get it going.
I like that.
And your buddy Scott Erickson, Scott Erickson is down at the NoD, the biggest nerd of them all. He's literally big. He's not like big into nerd stuff. He's just a big nerd. But, right? Okay.
Literally.
No, wait, you know this guy.
Yeah, what's up, Jeremy?
He's brought his kids in. It's Jeremy. I don't know Jeremy
Shout
yet.
out to Jeremy Gaston.
Yeah, shout out Jeremy. I don't know who you are, but hey, I just saw you walk by.
Founder of uballin.com.
Uballin?
Yeah.
Really? How do you spell it?
uballn.com.
Ah.
So, website for basketball players.
Very good. Okay, well, so Scott. Scott is a big,
back to
Scott is a big,
Scott.
a big nerd. Why did I bring up Scott? Because he's a big nerd, and because he's a big nerd.
He's actually also an industrial engineer.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was like.
He and I nerd out about that all the time.
Yeah,
too.
and if you guys are interested in hanging out with a lot of nerdy people, go to the NoD. It's filled with nerds.
Yes, come hang out.
Isn't it?
It pretty much.
I mean,
is
lots
filled
of
with
computer
nerds.
programmers, web developers.
Game developers, app developers,
right.
You name it. Yeah.
But the funny thing I think about nerds is that most of them seem to be pretty intelligent, engaging people. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes they're like socially, I don't know what, but but they're very intelligent guys, usually good guys, have good conversations. And so there's a bunch of them down at the NoD. So, but anyway, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot to pull out my drumsticks.
Pull out your drumsticks. Well, why don't you get your drumsticks? Because
yeah.
we were mentioning the health aspect. Hey,
Yeah.
we can tie in the health aspect to NerdBody and Scott Erickson, who developed a workout system you can do at your home or in your office, just 2 or 3 minutes a day, and look like Scott Erickson, which is, okay, no, I'm kidding. It's a cool system. So look it up, nerdbody.com. Is that it?
Yeah, look up nerdbody.com, and really the last thing I want to emphasize is taking breaks. So I think,
very much so.
It's good to take a break from your computer, from your work, and go do that 2 or 3 minute workout. Or for me, I love to play the drums. So if I'm working at NoD or working from home, I've got a drum set at both places now.
Yes.
So
all the members appreciate that.
And I'll take 10 minutes to totally get off of my phone, get out of my emails, and just play with my sticks, play some drums, and really just escape for about 10 minutes, and then
absolutely,
and then come back feeling really refreshed. And I think it's given me consistently a really great productivity boost. And if you're a musician, play your instrument. Don't let it get dusty.
Yeah, I mean, to go on. I don't know if you want to do a live demonstration for us.
And now the live demonstration.
Okay, wait. Let's make them wait for 1 second. Okay, that's going to happen in like 2 minutes. So so that's going to keep you watching. It's going to keep you in your seats. But okay, I play the piano. All right. So if I'm working, this is where. Okay. All right. So I play the piano, right?
Yes.
So I do the same thing. It's just like if I'm working at home, I go, hey, if my brain's tired, I will go play the piano. It clears my mind. Or I go walk around the block. But if I'm at a co-working place like here at Common Desk, or the NoD, NoDFW.com, or at NoD DFW, or at Chirag Gupta, Chicago Gupta on Twitter. You can follow him. You can find out more about Chirag there. But also something that's very important to me is I really think about how about this? Working in blocks. You work for an intense period of time, say for 45 minutes, or some people might want to go for 2 hours, and then take a break for 10 to 15 minutes, and just do that. And then you can reset the brain because.
Do you ever use that Pomodoro clock?
What's that?
It's a clock that you can set up for. It's really just a method of 25 minutes of work followed by a 5-minute break, and then you do like 3 cycles of that, and then you take an extended break. But when you're in those 90-minute blocks of productivity, you break it up into 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break, 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. And that's actually a kind of scientifically proven technique to generate the flow state and to maintain the flow state in your mind,
right?
So that you can maximize your productivity.
Because that's what I struggle with. Because I like to, if I get into a certain flow, then I want to keep it going. But then sometimes something might happen with a person, or you get distracted, and it throws you off your game.
Sure.
And it's just, for me, I want to get more and more into that flow on a regular basis and make it consistent.
What do you think about meditation also?
I think that's good because I was actually working at Venture X recently, and they have it here too, as a nap room.
Ooh.
So I would my brain's getting tired from being on the computer. I would just go lie down, listen to some cool music on my phone, and then just chill my mind until you feel like kind of that brain activity just kind of clear out. You know, and you feel
Yeah,
refreshed.
you can feel it physically.
You really can.
It's important.
And I think that part of the problem in American culture is.
Oh, thanks, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy. All right, Tammy is a nice lady, and she is actually a flight attendant. Flies the world.
Oh, wow.
She loves traveling
Safe
all over the
travels.
place. Yes. So anyway, but yeah. So you take that time to take that break and clear the mind, and then it sets you up to be more successful. Then another friend of mine I've been doing a lot of these with, Angel Rebo, he talks about it also is a way that we can assess our day too. So I try to do this. I'm not doing it religiously yet.
Okay.
So pretty soon I'm gonna get very Baptist on it. I'm gonna get super Baptist on it. No, but where you take a break, say around noon or 1 o'clock. And then you use that time to meditate, but also to assess where am I in this day and how am I accomplishing my goals, and then reset for the rest of the day, and then maybe do it again, maybe around 4 o'clock. So I'm working to do that more and more efficiently and more often, and because I want to be in that state of flow. What do you think about this concept, real quick?
Sure.
About productivity versus being busy.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of Americans are just really busy, not getting too much done. Because I'm doing this, I'm that, I'm on my social media. It's like, but really, what are you getting done by the end of the day for your life, for your business?
Yeah, I think that's a great point you bring up, and whether it's, I think it's a really big problem in startups where you find this team culture built on the illusion of progress and the illusion of productivity. And there's so many tools that enable this, and it's like, I don't want to badmouth these tools, but you've got things like Trello and Asana and these checklist sort of project management tools that makes you feel this little sense of accomplishment every time you check a box or you swipe to complete a task. And you really do have to stop and think for a moment, are these tasks really moving the needle? Are they really moving us forward? Or are we just telling ourselves, oh, I checked 15 boxes today on this app, but really it didn't maybe move the needle for the business. So I think it's good to check in with yourself about that and to ask, am I sitting here in the illusion of productivity and just enjoying being busy? Or am I really spending my time on the things that matter? So that's a really good point you brought up. It's always good to check in with yourself on that.
I had a cool idea. We were here at the book club here. They had for lunch, and they were doing Start With Why. Is that, that book?
Simon Sinek.
Yeah. So I think that if we have our why is very clear, then even our list for the day will be very clear. And what is the top priority, and help us to be more efficient. That we're actually moving towards our goals, our dreams, and stuff like that.
Love it.
All right, man. Well, hey, Chirag, we're gonna finish with the live.
Yes.
Drumming. I don't know. What can we drum? All right, but we're gonna do that. So thank you for dropping in. Thanks for the talk on productivity. And and like I said, if you know any other people that are some really great experts in terms of brain science or changing your mindset or creating a vision and purpose for your life, I'd love if you could introduce them to me. And then if you're interested in becoming one of the first founding members of the Tap Into Your Genius beta site, then direct message me. We'll be offering a link really soon. It's going to show you step by step how to tap into the genius part of your brain and start doing amazing things just like geniuses. But you're actually a genius, you just don't even know it yet. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do, but you're okay. All right. Well, thank you, Chirag. All right, let's go out with this. You ready?
I'm just gonna fake it.
Oh, just fake it. Okay. Fake it till you make it. Right? He has little drums at the note. I know this. All right, man.
Tap into my genius now.
Right. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Tammy, Callie, David, everybody. Thank you.